And so, my dear ones, welcome into the sanctuary. It's good to be here with you on this wonderful day as we move through September in a very speedy way, it seems to me, 25th already. And as you know, this month is dedicated by our organization to service to the world. And today, in particular, we're asked to look at one way of doing that and to be in that awareness for the rest of the week. And so we're invited to vision and see a world that is filled with peace and compassion and love. And although these things are prepared long before in advance, it's not surprising that this week on the 21st, we celebrated the United Nations International Day of Peace, World Peace. And all over the place, and continuing on until today, there have been all kinds of gatherings celebrating that. That was inaugurated in 1981 unanimously by the members of the United Nations, that we should be focused on bringing about a world that could sustain all life and sustain it well. And indeed, they've done a very good job, that particular part of the United Nations Peace Program, and improved the lives of many, many, many millions over the years since they started. But of course, they know there's much more to do, and they have created new goals for themselves as they celebrate their 15th year's anniversary of that. And they remind us that still in our world today, there are over 800 million people who exist on $1.25 a day. And so, especially in a world where there's no need for that to happen, we all know that there are ways and means by which everyone can be fed, everybody can be clothed, everybody can be sheltered, and everybody can live a sustainable life. A life that is free of the kind of concern that we have at the basic level of wondering how we can live today and how we can eat today, and will we have a roof over our heads today. And so the peace program is very much in place all over the world among so many different groups, and all of us are working very hard to make that happen. But of course, it's not going to happen until peace first comes to our own doorstep, until we ourselves are the embodiment of what that peace is, what that love is, and what that compassion is. And that's always our charge. And as I said this morning, it seems to me that the topic for our Sundays every week happens to be the same kind of topic, but it's not surprising because our teaching understands that there's a process engaged and we need to deepen and deepen and deepen, and we do that through repetition, repetition, repetition. So we look at this thing and we realize and we see, as was pointed out recently by one of these spiritual leaders that you find on the internet, and she was saying that, you know, it's good for us to remember and understand that war consciousness has been deeply embedded in the human psyche for eons now, and that it has become sort of second nature to us now to be warlike as human beings, and that we need to pay attention to that and pull ourselves back from that. And she pointed out that there hasn't been any culture, sometime or another, that wasn't at war with some other culture. And it's going to take all of us being on our mettle, our spiritual mettle, to turn the tide of that now and break that transgenerational passing on of our warlike tendencies. And of course, it's easy for us to know that that is true because look how quick we are to anger. Look how quick we are to shaking our fists. Look at how quick we are to seek retribution, and how punitive we can be in an instant, and how we can want revenge, just like that, on the turn of a dime. We can all do that at whatever level, whether it's under our own roof, or whether it's in a group, or whether it's an army marching to war. So we have to watch those tendencies within ourselves, and we're not denying them. They are very much there, but we are knowing that we know how to handle them and pull them back. Because if we are to be the peace, if we are to be the love, if we are to be compassion, and we don't have an option, those of us who are on spiritual unfoldment program path don't have the option to say, I'll handle that later, I'll get to it later. But right now, I'm staying in my self-righteousness because I'm blinking well entitled to it, because I have been wronged, I tell you. I have been wronged. And what does that come from? Well, all the great ones tell us it comes from a feeling of separation, a mistaken notion that I'm separate from those people or that one who's wronged me. I'm very much separate, and all war comes from the idea and the concept of separation and the fear that that brings, the fear of the other group or the other one that's different and apart from me and not one of my clan, not one of my tribe, doesn't belong, and I must be protected from them out there, that out there, whatever it is. Because I'm into separation, I don't understand that life is one life and it's living itself in everything and everyone, and there is no friend and there is no foe. There's only life as it shows up and presents itself to me to interact with, however I'm going to choose to do that, or to react to it and say, no, you're not of my kin, you're not of my clan. Therefore, I suspect you. You're to be feared. Or I'm to be feared because you don't have any place here where I am. And so that separation thing is very deep within us. For a long time, we always thought that above all else, we are separated from our source, and that our source was very far off, unreachable to the point of being that far off. And now we know that's not so. And once upon a time, only a few people on the plane knew that. But for the first time in history, everybody's exposed to the truth. Everybody can embrace the truth. Everybody can know who and what they are. And everybody can decide to take control of their own lives by taking control of their own thoughts and control of their own feelings and consequently actions. Ernest Holmes says, we must be the peace. We must seek peace at all odds. He said, you must do this. He said, you must do this if you are to be free. You must seek peace. You must be the peace. Seek it and be it. He says, standing, he said. In fact, he says, nestled at the door of your consciousness is the opportunity for peace. And it's given to you to recognize that and to allow it. That's what he says in the textbook. And so peace is what it's all about. Not pieces, bits and pieces of it here and there. When I can get over myself and when I can overcome that sense of being so wronged and badly done by, and who do they think they are? And don't they know who I am? Don't they know who I am? No, they don't. Neither do we know who we are, because if we knew who we were, we would never be in that situation. Anyway, nothing could touch us. Nothing could disturb the peace that lives within us and moves and has its being by means of you and me. So no, we don't know who we are, and that's why we keep bashing into each other, and I say bash. There's nothing as strong and powerful and potent as the bash and lash of a tongue. Nothing. As it is written by the poet, the stripes of the whip may scar your very bones, but the stripes from the tongue will scar your very soul. We're not careful enough. We don't appreciate the gift of speech enough. We don't understand enough the power of a word. My goodness me, one word can turn us from these mild, beautiful, peaceful beings into roaring, raging monsters, wanting to devour the cause of my disturbance and the suggestion that I could be anything other than wonderful. I mean, this is it. You look at yourself, look at your siblings the way they are with each other. Look at what goes on in families. Look at what goes on in friendship groups. Look at what goes on in spiritual communities dedicated and committed to being examples of peace and love and compassion and forgiveness and understanding. Well, my dear ones, we are here in this room today because it is given to you and it is given to me to be other than all of that. And the question is, do you want to know who you truly are? And do you want to live from what you truly are? Because if we do, we have to stop the nonsense in the way we're thinking, the way we're feeling, in the way we're behaving, in the way we're separating each other from each other, in the way that we will not come together, but would rather stay apart in our self-righteousness that is so aggrieved and so offended. And it's not easy because we've all been there. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially when we feel we don't deserve it. When does anybody deserve anything but good? That's all we ever deserve is good. And yet we forget, and blindly we hurt each other, we upset each other. We must understand each other. We push each other away. We separate ourselves from each other. And we're not going to have any opening to allow it to be otherwise. Because there's something in us wants to be at war, wants to punish, wants to take revenge. It's not conscious, thank God, amongst those of us who are making the endeavor to be all that we can be and to allow Spirit its free expression through each and every one of us. A recent study in 2005 showed that it didn't matter what group these tests were done with, the results were the very same. 50% of people were thinking negatively. 30% of people were thinking positively, and the 20% were neutral. They were neutral, kind of cancelled out the positive and the negative. So that's a real wide opener to me because, I mean, if only 30% in the world is thinking along the lines of affirmation, it's a wonder we're not in a worse state, I say, only for amazing grace. So where would we be in that percentile if we were tested? Would we be in the 50%, the 30%, or the 20%? I'd like to think we were in the 30%. And so the call today is, can we jump up out of the same old way of being in life, thinking in life, feeling in life, and responding to life or reacting to life? Can we change that, even to a small degree, along the side of more affirmation, along the side of building bridges? It's written up out there together, building bridges together. Tearing down walls and building bridges is our challenge. Not building walls, especially around ourselves, to fortify ourselves against each other. And my, are we expert at that? How wonderfully well we're able to demonstrate through our mental prowess good reasoning behind the way we think. What about do unto others as you would have others do unto you? What about think about others as you would have others think unto you? What about feel about others as you would have others feel about you? What about it? What about that? Is it always just going to be a lovely phrase we're going to hear quoted or we read? Will it ever become embodied within us? Will its light, will its fire illumine our way ever, anytime soon? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you, and do no harm. Do no harm. Because every time you and I do harm, the first one that is harmed is you and me. I am harming myself much more than I am harming anybody else, whether it's deliberate or whether it's unconscious. How many times have we to hear this? How many times are we going to get the call to wake up? When are we going to have had enough of war and dissension and separation? When are we going to be sick and tired of it to the point that we really do say enough already? My life is my life now, and it is the glory of Spirit fully alive by means of me. I can say that right this minute, no matter what kind of an awful life I've led until now, and the whole thing can change. I change in my consciousness to begin with. I change in my thinking to begin with. I change in my feeling to begin with. I change in my perspective of life and living and what I think about it all. I change by not making up my mind about everything I see and feel out there, but by going within myself to see and to feel that which is so much greater than anything out there. But will I do it is the question. I have to embrace the deep silence that it requires for me to do that. I have to allow myself to stop being so mesmerized by the noise, I don't care what kind of noise and how lovely it is out there, so that I can come in here and know the truth that sets me free and heal myself from the magic within my soul, heal myself, because I have all that magic within me to self-heal. And then maybe I'm ready to be able to help the world to heal. But it's not going to happen until I have first healed myself. And I'm the only one that can do it. Nobody can heal me. Physician, heal thyself. It's given to me. If there's anything wrong with us, it's one thing. And it's that deep feeling that you and I have accepted of I can't. We have listened deeply to I can't, you can't, since we were knee-high to a grasshopper, and it now has become our mind's affirmation, while the soul song is I am and I can, but it's drowned out by all of my can'ts, my chant of I can'ts. I can't, baloney, rubbish, basura. So, when am I going to stop being filled with the garbage of I can'ts and start allowing the amazing grace that fills me, is around me, is about me, is above me, is below me, to be that which assures me I am and I can because I am. You see, the challenge is again and again and again, can we stand it? Can we take it? Can we acknowledge it? That I am a magnificent soul. Can I believe it? That I am the emanation of radiant light. Can I see that I am the longing of life to know and be itself by means of me? Can I allow myself enough self-respect to honor the creator of my being and its decision to show up in material form as me? Can I do it? Do I have the spiritual guts to stand up in the magnificence of the life that's living me and say, yes, I am Yes, I can. Do I have that capacity is the question. The answer is I have the capacity, but do I have the desire? Do I have the sense? Do I have the intelligence to let all the small, narrow, terrible stuff of my egoic self go and surrender myself to the purity and the power and the perfection of the infinite beingness of life itself that shows me as its expression of life and light and love and peace and power and compassion? Do I?
Yes.
Well, I know that we can. And I say, yes, I am. Yes, I can. Say it with me. Yes, I am. Yes, I can. Again. Yes, I am. Yes, I can. And one more time like you really believe it. Yes, I am. Yes, I can. And so it is.